Good afternoon, everybody. We are about to start in 1 minute.
Hello, Philippe. Good morning. While waiting, may I ask you something?
Yeah, no, everybody can. We will start in 1 minute. I'm about to launch it for everybody.
Yes. Somebody asked me if it is, since I see it is recorded.
Yes, it is recorded.
Yeah. Somebody asked me if it is possible to see the recording later.
Yes, we will put it on the website. Okay.
Okay.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Philippe Dumas. I'm part of the Secretariat of the ETIP DG, together with Adele Manzella from CNR and Ben Lannen from Vito. It's quite a webinar a bit informal because we are between the members of the ETIP DG, so feel free to intervene. We have first some presentation. The best way for you to intervene is you raise your hand. There's a tool which is really easy. You raise your hand, me, I can see it, and I give you the floor. For that, you are muted as participants in order to avoid too much noise. You can also ask some question in the chat. So feel free to ask your question. First, we will have the general presentation, but when we go chapter per chapter, if you have a question, feel free at any moment to interrupt. So, or you raise your hand or you ask a question. I will now give the floor for first presentation to the president of the ETIP DG, Fausto Battini. So, Fausto, I will show your presentation and the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, everybody. I will briefly introduce the activity of ETIP Deep Geothermal. Next slide, please. The ETIP Geothermal that was established 3 years ago has a mission to promote the research and innovation in the deep geothermal sector. In order to contribute to the city of future, that means contributing to develop and apply the energy source, renewable energy source, in integrated system, including electricity generation, intercooling, and so on. The main objective of deep geothermal are the implementation of a strategic research agenda, which enable to develop new technologies, and through these new technologies we expect to reach some of the main objective, which are ambitious in some way, so that unlock the new geothermal resources to make them more affordable and sustainable in a large part of Europe, achieve a significant reduction of development and operation and maintenance costs. As you know, one of the more critical aspects, critical issues related to the geothermal development is to reduce the cost and make the geothermal energy more competitive in comparison with other renewable energy sources, and that will occur by improvement of the performance of the technologies and developing new concept and process for energy generation. Third objective is increase the social acceptance of geothermal energy. As you know, today in many countries of Europe, geothermal energy is not well accepted. So we have to improve the acceptance through the application of a more innovative technology, but also improving the communication strategy and make the population, the people aware about the benefits of geothermal and not only about the risk. Last but not least, we have to maintain, even strengthen the European leadership in geothermal energy sector and continue to export know-how and technology worldwide. Next, please. So as I said, one of the main objectives is to develop a strategic research agenda, and we reached this goal in different steps. This in the picture that you see in your left is showing the approach. Stakeholder, mainly led by industry, agree on a common vision for the technology, then define the strategic research agenda, setting out the medium and long-term objective for the technology. And finally, the next step will be the implementation of this strategic research agenda with mobilization of a significant human and financial resources that will include the cooperation among the different stakeholders. Next, please. So the main step that we made during in the preparation of a roadmap. The roadmap is the way we intend or we expect to implement the research agenda are described in the left side of the slide, and of course the working group which are internal to the ETIP Deep Geothermal, exploration, deep drilling, production technology, so 5 system and non-technical issues contributed significantly to achieve this objective and this stage. So phase 1 was between January and March, collecting all the data and discussing the priorities among the working group. Phase 2, between March and April, the steering committee of ETIP prepared a list of topics to be included in the roadmap, and this was done through a questionnaire that was distributed among all the partners of the participants to the ETIP. Next phase, actually we are in this phase, is a validation of the roadmap during an open consultation through a public process. Next, please. The next, I would like also inform you about the next step in terms of communication. It's very important. Event will take place in Bucharest, where the chairman of ETIP, the Deep Geothermal, has been invited, where we will be discuss the implementation plan and implementation working group at the national state. And for all the participants to Deep Geothermal ETIP, I would highlight that annual assembly will take place during the Hague AGC 2019. So all of us will be invited to participate to this assembly. Then there are a few other events: risk workshop in Potsdam, USEV, which is the week of renewable energy that will take in Brussels, and then there are policy session and workshop in the region. For more detail about this event, I would like that Philippe will take the floor and give you more information.
Yes, so thank you, Fausto.
Yes.
So indeed, USEV is the European Sustainable Energy Week in Brussels. It's the week 17 to 21st of June. On a policy session, so an official session in the European Commission building on the 18th of June in the afternoon, we'll present officially the roadmap. The day after, on the Wednesday, 19th of June, in the morning, ETIP DG will collaborate to a workshop organized by the regions and notably with regional funding for innovation. No, I will just continue briefly, and after I will give the floor to Fausto to complete his presentation with some activities we are doing as ETIP Secretariat. As ETIP Secretariat, you know, we have created a search engine. It was Adele Mandela from Siena and our colleague from Siena doing this search engine. We have found a name for marketing it, and it's called EGRIS, European Geothermal Research and Innovation Search Engine. The new name and the new configuration of this search engine will be available in the next weeks, and notably the new option for this search engine is that you will be able to upload documents. I remind everybody that this data sharing platform aims to present all the results from research activities, notably from European projects. So we speak about all deliverables and project results. They are in an online platform. I really invite you to visit it. It's for free. You find all the details in the DG ETIP website. I will not come back to what already presented Fausto, but the roadmap is to be published in June, and now we have to discuss the content. And not last but not least, as Secretariat of the ETIP to support the activity of the ETIP, we are about to publish 4 documents. One about a new funding from European Union. It's called the Energy Transition Fund, and especially for coal regions in transition. Another input from the ETIP DG will be for the National Energy and Climate Plans, the NECPs, which are planning the energy and climate objective country per country for the period 2020-2030. Last but not least, we are presenting some fact sheet to present you how Deep Geothermal demonstration projects have been financed. You have around 10 demonstration projects on deep geothermal energy that we have analyzed, and we are representing you the financial instruments used for this demo project. And to conclude, we'll publish in June a report about the competitiveness of the European geothermal industry. Fausto, the floor is yours to conclude.
Okay, I thank you for your attention, and hope that you can continue to contribute to the in terms of ideas, project, and even human support to promote the development of ETIP DG. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Fausto. And now I will give the floor, as you can see from the agenda, to Adele in order to present a bit the methodology we have used for drafting this implementation roadmap. So Adele, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Philippe. I hope you hear me. So as Fausto Battini already said, we are now in the third part of our strategic activities in ETIP DG. So the preparation of the roadmap rooted very much on the vision and strategic research and innovation agenda. Next, please.
Maybe sorry, it was not the right slide. Which slide you wanted to present?
Do you want? I thought that you were. If you give me the screen, I can present very briefly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Indeed, I think it was very good. I will give you the screen for your presentation. Yeah.
Yes. Just give me one. Do you see my screen?
I confirm.
Yes.
Okay. So we started
Can you enlarge little bit, Adele?
Sorry, yes, sorry, okay. So, starting from the vision published in March last year, and you will remember that the vision, I briefly go through the vision because many of the things are related to the structure of the vision. You will remember, or those who didn't see it, the vision has three main chapters, three main parts. So to look toward the future of the geothermal energy, we will aim in particular to unlocking geothermal energy, increasing the social welfare, and producing and analyzing novel technology for full and responsible deployment of geothermal potential. So the vision clearly targets the idea of covering a significant part of domestic heat and demand and electric power demand. So for unlocking geothermal energy, we considered heat development, power development, and combined production. And a particular focus is on the city of the future, and another part is strongly related to increasing social welfare. So regarding the novel technologies for full and responsible deployment, we started in the vision to organize the matters, the novel technologies in 5 main chapters, 2 technical chapters, 1, 2, 3, and 2 transversal chapters, which in the strategic research agenda became the main focus of the structure of the document. So the chapters in strategic research agenda were related to prediction and assessment of resources, resource access, heat, and electricity generation, and then 2 transversal chapters related to research and innovation, from research and innovation to deployment to knowledge sharing. These topics, for each of these chapters, we define different fishes, different topics with all the details. And all these topics have been then analyzed to go toward the roadmap. So in the last days, we organized a prioritization, a ranking of all these topics together with the steering committee, and we analyzed all these topics to define what to put first, what are the priority and the timing of each of these topics. And this is very much the base of what we are now looking with you today to streamline what we have done up to now and complete our checking and complete the document in a few days. And I think this is enough for me because all the details will be given later during the next presentation.
Indeed, thank you, Adele, for this presentation. I think it was clear enough. As I say, if you have any question or comments, feel free to raise your hand and or to ask a question with a chat. From this introduction, I will now go to the different chapters of this draft roadmap, giving the floor to each responsible person from the Secretariat, liaising with the working group leader. So indeed, you know that in the ETIP DG we have different working groups and working group leaders, which have been the main actors for the research agenda. And now from that, we are going to some prioritization. And for each of these chapters, so I will now give the floor to the person from the responsible from the Secretariat. So the first topic is prediction and assessment of resources, and it's Adele to present it. Do you want me to give you the floor, or I show your presentation?
No, you can show my presentation. Thank you.
Okay, so we are.
So, as I said before, we organized things based on the ranking of the different priorities, defining the level of priorities and priority timeline. The idea was to combine topics because we cannot present too many of them. So we combined them following some criteria. And this is the result. So we merged some of the topics of chapter A, in this case, based on comparable or suitable, so chapters that were suitable for merging and with the same level of priority. Okay, thank you. The next. So we define 4 topics for chapter A. The first one is improved exploration prior to, during, and after drilling. It combines the original topics 1 and 2 of chapter A in the strategic research agenda, with the objectives, common objectives of develop advanced exploration methodologies and technologies. Since it's assumed that the priority level and also the timing is very, very short, I organized and proposed to set a first time frame by 2025, but clearly underlining that this kind of activities will continue. So we can make a first step by 2025, but we can improve and we will continue to improve. Also because TRL can be different for different methodologies. So my main concern is to define a TRL, an average TRL for all the methodologies. Another objective is to develop approach by integrated approach by improving multidisciplinary methodologies by joint modeling using specialized data and computational science. And another objective is to improve logging and logging while drilling tools. By the way, in this case, we also merged a topic that was originally in the chapter related to accessing the resource, because now we are talking about overall exploration methods, also during and after drilling. The main targets of this topic are to reduce the cost of surveys, to produce new or optimizing downhole sensors, and a first idea of KPI is related to the number of productive over abandoned well, the number of, for increasing them, increase the ratio, increase the ratio of pre-feasibility over feasibility projects, and counting the number of logging and monitoring tools already available, so increasing the number of these tools. The priority of this topic has been ranked medium at the moment. And you see that the timing I put only for the first objective. I put 2025. For the others, my plan is to put 2030 if that is considered okay. Next, please. Same way to reasoning. Topic 2, exploration workflows and catalogs. Also, these merge two topics of the original exploration chapter. So we want to demonstrate advanced workflows of reservoir characterization. I am in doubt about timing and TRL, but I think that we can set a first step about 2025, also because there are some projects under development right now. Clearly, we have to define a link to topic 1 because the two are strictly linked, but they have definite objectives. Another objective is to build and extend the catalogs of rock properties and fluid rock interaction. Again, I put a first time by 2025, but in particular, these objectives will need a continuous updating. So the targets are improved resource and uncertainty reporting protocols. With the KPI could be the number of protocols defined during the projects, for sure the database catalog and the number of data in the database. Again, the priority for this topic is medium. Next, please. The third topic is the one with the highest priority, as ranked by the steering committee. It is named Assessing Resource Potential, with the objective of develop a reliable methodology and tools to perform a resource assessment and to demonstrate communication and reporting protocols. Both, I put these very, very short timing, and the targets is a multi-level potential assessment, harmonized in Europe, and a comparison framework to be used by investors, regulators, governments, and consumers. So the KPI is the number of stakeholders using the protocol for producing potential maps. This is easy at the moment because we can put a 0 in relation to the actual status, because if we use a protocol, in any case, it is not an harmonized protocol in Europe. So the target is to have something which is shared among the different member states. Next,
sorry to intervene, Adele. We have one question. I think
yes.
It was I missed it. It was for the topic 2. Are the new advanced downhole sensors for drilling, or once the wells in the production?
Sorry, I do not hear you well. Can you repeat?
If not, I will give the floor to Kevin Malin. Maybe he can further develop what he wanted to ask. So, Kevin, the floor is yours.
Maybe you can read. Okay.
You can speak, yes.
Hello there. Hi. Hi, this is Kevin.
Yes, thank you.
Are the new and advanced downhole sensors for actually whilst drilling, or once the well is in production, so we can monitor the reservoir once it's producing?
Both.
Okay,
this is on topic 1, I think. Yes, it's both in both cases. So we are combining both aspects in one whole topic. But we are prior to, during, and after. So also the tools refer to the different phases.
Because a lot of the drilling technology now, there's some very advanced drilling whilst logging whilst drilling tools, along with seismicity, for pore pressure. So we probably need to adopt some of the oil and gas technology which is already available.
Thank you for the note. I will put a note on this. The important is also that we will need what is missing, so we can adapt. But we will need for sure also some special logging for harsh condition in geothermal wells. So chemicals, but in particular temperature and is a limit right now for some of these logging tools.
I think that we need to determine what the circulating temperatures are whilst we're drilling, rather than the recovered temperatures.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
We've done a lot of drilling in the Rift Valley, where production temperatures are 450 degrees, but the drilling temperature is about 150 degrees.
Yeah, yeah.
So these are things, just so we don't get carried away and start developing tools that we don't really need.
Yes, yes. I see your point. I also, by experience, in a super hot wells here in Italy, it was required, it was necessary to organize a novel tool. It was not available at the temperature and pressure that we needed. And it is novel, it is still a prototype, but will require for sure further development. Not the actual technology is not ready for every condition, but I agree with you that we are far already, and the technology is very good. In most cases, it's okay.
Yes, because I mean, some of the deep oil and gas wells now, we're talking 20,000 psi sort of formation pressures. I mean, very, very high pressures. So, in fact, we've had to develop new blowout prevention systems to deal with the much higher pressures. So, yeah. There is a lot of technology out there already that we could probably adapt for geothermal. I agree on the harsh conditions, because some of the brines, boiling brines are difficult to deal with.
Yes, yes.
Okay, maybe Adele, there's two more people that would like to intervene. Maybe we can give them the floor. Is also Luca Guglielmetti and Lucia Gabriela Perez. So I don't know, one of you want to start also to intervene?
Hello, I am Lucia from LMPA. Adele,
hello.
One question. I observed that the topic 3 is the priority, which is related with understand better the geothermal energy as a whole. But topic 1 and topic 2, instead the tier are quite high. And for me, it's a kind of contradiction. If you say that topic 3 is quite important, it's a priority to know better all the system, and the other topics are more related to the technology, and you start with a tier out quite high, is a kind of contradiction, in my opinion. I will expect lower tier technological levels, and because you don't know exactly which is the system, because it's your priority to understand better. I don't know if I express myself well.
Yes. You're clear, and I thank you for the question. It's good, because so that I can clarify. In topic 3, we are not developing technology for better resolution or something like this. We want to quantify in a organic way how much energy we can extract for which technology, for using for power production by binary system, flash system, or district heating, and so on. These methods for geothermal, in a way applied geothermal potential, is not available. We did some experiment in the past in some projects in GeoElec. We defined a protocol, so a computation and equation, and we did something in Italy, but we do not have an organized and harmonized methodology and reporting way, so that we do not have, for example, if Irina asks us what is the potential, the geothermal potential, so that they can put the geothermal potential among the maps they provide for the different energy sources, Geothermal sector do not have it. With all the assumption underlining such a computation, which depend, of course, on the availability of data, but still we do not have, at European level, a communication and reporting protocol for this. We do it, if we do it, with different methodologies. So there is no contradiction, but for sure, as you say, I was not clear, and I need to be more clear when we write the roadmap on showing and explaining what is what. Thank you for the question.
Okay, thank you, Lucia, and we give the to Luca.
Yes, hi everyone. Just few remarks. One is connected to the previous remarks about the developing of tools that can be eventually already, I can say, adapted from the hydrocarbon. And that is something that it could be very important because, okay, there are many, of course, the power production now in Europe is mostly in high enthalpy fields, but probably it will improve in terms of market also in sedimentary basins where the connection with hydrocarbon industry is even much stronger. Then another point is that in terms of tools, it would be great to develop tools that can be used for both exploration and monitoring. For example, it's mentioned in the strategic agenda about optic fibers, and this can be quite good both for monitoring the seismicity, which is a very innovative and in development topic, but also for pressure and temperature. So this is something that can also help in reducing a little bit the cost of the overall project also during production. And connecting to the resource potential assessment, I don't know how the ETIP locate itself with respect to the UN guidelines of resource assessment, because I was invited in a workshop in Geneva at the UN, and the people talking about geothermal were really stressing out the need to classify the resource of each country according to the UN classification. TNO has recently done that, and there's a website that that shows the results. I saw on the agenda of the European Geothermal Congress that there will be maybe 1 or 2 presentations about this topic. So I was just wondering if rather than going, I mean, each country on it towards its own direction, if maybe we can use this kind of criteria and try to see if they are applicable for ETIP. I don't know. It's just a brainstorming now, but
yes, Luca, you are absolutely right. We already mentioned this coding in the strategic research agenda. We had the contribution of Falcone for this, so we inserted this.
Yeah.
So the idea is exactly to put the base for every member state to adopt as soon as possible a organized reporting protocol and provide these numbers at the level of member states, but in an harmonized way, because the UNO protocol still requires some a little more definition, and then we are done. I think this is why I put it by 2023 by defining the complete methodologies and tools, and then a much longer, so a longer time, maybe 2025, of course, will be not for the whole Europe, but some demonstration of these protocols at European level.
Okay, thank you very much, Adele.
Okay, so maybe Adele, you can continue with topic 4.
Yes, topic 4. So we name it Cutting Edge Geothermal Resources, which covers resources that are beyond what we are already using. So enhanced geothermal system, but also offshore resources, reused oil and gas wells, with the objective of research of methods for estimating and predicting the properties of these particular resources, to define their abundance, to define possibly also their potential when topic 3 will be well on the road. And then, of course, a demonstration to test these ways, these developed technologies. The targets are enlarge potential, improve sustainability of oil and gas wells, and let's see if some of you have also other ideas what we can add here. I put TRL pretty low with the idea to go to a TRL high, but of course we can demonstrate up to a certain point. We can demonstrate the exploration methodologies only if at least one well will reach the assumed reservoir. For sure, for EGS, okay, but for the other resources still to be defined. And priority is medium, but the timeline in this case is long, much longer than for the other topics we have seen up to now. And this is all for this chapter.
May I ask just a quick question?
Thank you very much. And indeed, if you have some question to conclude this presentation and resource assessment.
Yeah, may I just ask, Adel, you mentioned oil and gas wells. Could it be maybe possible to enlarge the application of such topic also to non-productive geothermal wells? For example, I know in Tuscany there are lots of wells that have been producing. Now they don't produce anymore as much as before, but maybe the heat can be still extracted by developing new technologies such as borrow heat exchangers or something. So
yeah,
just just to not to mention only oil and gas well, but maybe citing something like non-productive wells or something like that, to keep it more general to the application to other kinds of wells.
Thank you, Luca. This is a very good idea, and we can also mention it in some exercise, some exploring the possibility to use some of them, for example, also for thermal storage or these kind of things.
Exactly, they can be small pilots that can work smoothly as a project.
Yes, thank you for the idea. Okay, this is done.
Okay, thank you. Now we go to the second topic, the second chapter of this draft roadmap. It's after having predicted and assessed the resource, is to access and develop this resource. And I will give the floor to Ben for presenting this topic. So Ben, the floor is yours, and I will show your presentation.
Okay, good. Okay, next slide. Flip. Yeah. So we also started from the 11 topics that were defined in the strategic research agenda to see what topics should get priority and what the timeline should be. All together, next slide. Yeah, Philip. Yeah. So based on that exercise, it was decided to reduce the number of, I call it actions for the roadmap, just to to make a clear difference with the topics mentioned in the strategic research agenda, with 5 actions that group one or more of the topics defined in the strategic research agenda. You will see that from the 11 topics defined in the research agenda, 2 are missing in this link, but that's because they have been, as Adele already mentioned, included in the chapter on exploration. So the topic with the highest priority is the one that is related to total reinjection and greener power plants. It really stands out when it comes to the priority, and it's also one that has given priority on the short to medium long term. So something we should take at hand right at once. Then there are there is one topic or one action related to reducing the impact of scaling and corrosion. And the improvement of the lifetime or the prolongation of the lifetime of different components, especially also the downhole pumps of geothermal plants. It's a combination of 3 topics mentioned in the strategic research agenda. Then there are 2 actions with a moderate priority. That's action 3 related to the efficient development and use of the resource. It's a combination again of 3 topics from the strategic research agenda, and one on the on effective and rapid penetration technologies. Call it more efficient drilling. And then there is one action with a very low priority, and that's related to development of new electronics and communication tools in order to get data from the reservoir up to the management system. Next slide. And another exercise we did was trying to define priority targets. So basically defining what should be the basis for the KPIs that we will attach to each of these actions. Altogether, we put forward 7 call it target statements. And from these, it's clear that the steering committee members said, okay, priority should go towards, on the first place, reducing the impact of geothermal, but and then also to cost reduction when it comes to well field development and maintenance and operation and maintenance. So basically, that are the two fields where the actions should focus on achieving improvements. Next slide. Yeah, Philippe. Then looking at the actions that have been retained for the roadmap. The first one is the one with the highest priority. It's total reinjection and green power plants. So the objective here is to develop technology that will allow that will help to improve the environmental performance of geothermal power plants, either by aiming at full reinjection of the geothermal fluids, including non-condensable gases, or by the development of technologies that could help to capture, use, and or in a sustainable way abate the non-condensable gas emissions. In order to reach that, the overall objective, we said, okay, we will have to develop tools that will allow us to better predict the behavior of the geothermal fluid, not just from a chemical and flow perspective, but also geomechanical aspects of the interaction and of the fluid with the reservoir. And then, starting from this better understanding, develop technologies that that either will allow this full reinjection, or that will allow us to capture and use or to capture and abate the non-condensable, non-reinjectable non-condensable gases. Next slide. The target still has to be set, but it's closely related to geothermal emissions. And as I said, from the priority ranking with respect to urgency of the action, it's clear that it's an action that should result in significant improvements on the short term. The scope of the kind of activities done under this action should be on improving our understanding of what's happening in the reservoir and in the well field. So not just the reservoir, but also the wells, and the well field also includes the steam capturing system where it's relevant. And then starting from that, technology development, and in a later stage, and preferably also already on the quite short term, demonstration of concepts of full reinjection or utilization of non-condensable gases by 2026. Next slide. Then the second action, action also of moderate to moderately high priority, is related to reducing the impact of scaling and corrosion, and by doing so improve the lifetime of different components. It's a combination of different topics mentioned in the strategic research agenda. It's related to the development of new technologies, effective but also environmentally safe technologies to control scaling and corrosion. The development also of materials, of new materials that either are resistant to corrosion or that have, for example, anti-scaling properties. It's also related to the development of new components for wells, new types of cements, casing couplings, and so on, that can withstand the temperature and chemical conditions met in geothermal wells, and that are resistant to fatigue of the wells due to expansion and cooling phenomena. And development of eco-friendly drilling fluids that are still stable under high pressure, but mainly high temperature, and chemically demanding environments met in deep geothermal wells. Next slide. Here the target is related to one of the strategic targets set in the set plan declaration, mainly reducing the costs related with operation and maintenance of geothermal power plants by a certain degree by 2030. The figure still has to be put. We can there use the figures mentioned in the set plan in case relevant. That cost will be related also with the downtime of geothermal plants due to maintenance, replacement of equipment, cleaning, and so on. So in case we can reduce that, directly will have an impact on the cost for operation and maintenance. Increasing lifetime of components, which is measurable definitely for downhole pumps. We have data. And then improve the environmental performance and reduce unwanted side effects of geothermal. As I said, it's an action that was given moderately high priority, and the steering committee members said, okay, it's something to deal with on the short to medium term. The main focus there of the actions will be on technology development, although there is already a lot of technology available at various TRL levels. So it will be very important to demonstrate these technologies and to adapt these technologies to the relevant environments. Next slide. Action 3 is related to the efficient development of the resource. It is basically a combination of topics that deal with reservoir stimulation and production from tight reservoirs. Focusing on development of effective but also safe technologies for enhancing the energy extraction from low permeability rock. And that can be everything going from traditional EGS over development of closed loop systems. It's, as I said, also related to the production itself. So the development of a second generation geothermal pumps that have a long lifetime under aggressive conditions, especially in deep geothermal wells. It can be pumps, it can be other lifting technology, as mentioned in the strategic research agenda. And also in this case, there is a need to a better understanding of what happens in the geothermal reservoir, helping us to go for a more effective, for example, stimulation of this low permeability rock systems. Next slide. Targets here are to improve the energy yield from especially then tight reservoirs. An increase in the lifetime of the lifting technology, geothermal pumps in general. Also an increase in the operational window of pumps and lifting technologies from the current conditions where we already have to find it difficult to have reliable production pumps, for example, for 150 degrees C saline brines, when you really have to create a large lift and then still have high flow rates. So increasing that operational window both in lift and temperature range will be an important one. And then extend the lifetime of geothermal plants or the well field in specific will be another important target to be reached by this action. Priority was given moderate, and again, it was something that, according to the members of the steering committee, should be taken on the short to medium term. Here, the scope of the research and development activities should be on better understanding of mass term and mass and thermal flow, but also the geomechanical aspects of deep geothermal reservoirs. Then again, technology testing and validation on the medium long term, and demonstration on the longer term. Next slide. Action 4, also given a medium or moderate priority, is related to drilling, and more specific, shortening the time needed to complete a geothermal well. It is related to the topics that deal with the development of new destruction mechanisms based on new alternative ways, with respect to traditional roller bit drilling. So new mechanisms to break the rock, but also the elaboration of protocols and tools to ensure wellbore stability and to avoid lost-in-hole accidents. This should result in a reduction of the time to complete geothermal wells, a reduction in the delay of drilling activities due to wellbore instability issues, and a reduction also of delays and costs related to lost-in-hole accidents. Timeline here is put on medium, so something to be developed, let's say, or fully developed by in the period 2026-2030. Again, focus is on mainly technology development and demonstration, but an important element here will also be knowledge exchange with other industries. Oil and gas is often mentioned, but also the mining industry could provide or could be an interesting partner to develop certain tools. Next slide. And then the last action is related to new electronics to monitor and operate geothermal wells. It was given low priority and something to be developed on the medium to long term. It's basically the development of technology that allows measurements at reservoir level at high temperatures, and not just the sensors to measure, but also reliable tools and to communicate the measurements towards the surface. Again, it's the scope here is technology development and demonstration, and there is a clear link with other industry, especially the ICT industry, for development of these tools. And I think that's it for this chapter. Yeah. Questions?
Thank you, Ben. I don't know if you have any question. Maybe we could come back to the merge you proposed.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think it was quite clear. So thank you indeed. You have already come to a lot of details, I think, for the KPI, so it'd be useful. I just want to repeat to everybody that today it's not the end of a consultation, it's just a midterm consultation, this webinar, just to present you orally, and we will present the next step, but you will have until end of next week to provide written comments. So you can download the form from the website, and after you can send us this form. You can also send via email if you wish. It's really open for receiving your inputs. Okay. Now we'll come to the chapter number 3, which is about heat and electricity generation. I see that in the meantime, the working group leader for this topic, Marco Baresi, has joined us. So Marco, also you're free to intervene when you want. I will present you what is the proposal for this chapter on surface system and system integration. First, it's like for the other chapters, we have done a consultation of a steering committee, and you can see here the assessments. There's a lot of topics, a lot of priority have been given to some topics, a bit less to other topics. And here, when we come to the roadmap from the research agenda is really a list of all research ideas. The roadmap is a strategic document, is where we want really to highlight some key topics we would like to develop in terms of research, development, and innovation, to help the technology to develop. So in this start of strategic proposal, we have seen that in the research agenda, topic 1, 2, 3, 4 are all dealing with a turbo generator, with a turbines. Of course, topic 1, 2, and 3 is more for binary turbines. 4 is more for other, so like flash system. Of course, when merging that, you will see that we have some issue, because indeed low to medium temperature binary plant is not the same than future high temperature binary power plant. So indeed we will have to deal with that. But there's one proposal to merge all topics relating to turbines in topic A. Another priority you could see is topic 5, making the production more flexible. When we look at that, it's linked also, of course, when you're producing some flexibility, ramp up and down, you can also generate different voltage. So this also topic is merged, but I will come back to topic 9 a bit later. The third proposal is storage, is the topic number 6. Storage, you can see it's not the top priority, but it is also a kind of strategic decision that storage, we know that in the future will be quite an important sector to be developed, with a lot of research funding for this topic. And here we see that the main interest is about batteries, so it's very good that from our sector we highlight also the huge potential we have for thermal storage. And it's why one suggestion is to keep thermal storage as one specific topic. It could be merged, of course, with hybrid plants, with flexible production, but one proposal is to keep thermal storage as a unique topic for highlighting the importance of this sector. Topic D is having hybrid plants. Hybrid plants, both combining geothermal with other renewables, but also with different co-production, production of heat, of power, but also production of some mineral. And we will see that when we develop that. As it was clearly highlighted by Fausto Battini, we are developing from the vision the idea of having some missions, so some large objective system approach, objective energy system. And here we suggest that, for example, one topic like generating a different voltage could be also one thing highlighted in this vision, which going beyond just the geothermal technologies, but more the electricity grid. So to go further to what I was presenting with topic A on turbines, so we have tried to look at a bit what have been the main topics developed in the research agenda regarding turbines. So of course, is development on advanced low to medium temperature binary plants. Is today the majority of the binary plants dealing at low and medium temperature, but it's to make them more advanced, and notably in terms of upscaling. So going higher than 10, 15, which is today the use of binary plants, going to 20 and plus megawatt electric. Another topic which was clearly highlighted in the research agenda is for the turbines to work on different and new working fluid, and to improve specific components, heat exchangers, some materials for coating, hybrid cooling, etc., etc. So here we just speak on really specific components, not about the overall efficiency of the turbines. The third topic is indeed, as I say, if today the technology is developing at low to medium, one future development will be high temperature binary plants, and here it's a proposal to have this topic highlighted, combination high temperature, but also how binary plants can be used as a bottom unit of an existing geothermal flash plant. So that is also a topic highlighted in this chapter. I would like to continue to say, as in top of binary, we have some topics also not for binary, but more for super hot systems. So indeed, when we will have to develop super high temperature resource, we know when I was mentioning that high temperature resource, we need to have an harmonization of a terminology. So maybe it's not clear also for us. So we will try to find an agreement on the terminology between super hot system, super high temperature, super critical resources. It's something we are doing, but for that, we will need also to have some development at the other power cycles in order to answer this future development of a resource. These are the objectives in terms of turbines. In terms of targets, reduce the overall plant costs, or improve efficiency, upscaling, we have said we have something on upscaling, and development of new materials or working fluid, notably organic non-flammable working fluid. New components also is one of the targets. The second topic, as I say, was one of the main priorities also highlighted, is about flexible production of heat and power and integration into smart grids. I would like maybe to remind there's one project starting in June called GeoSmart, already dealing with that, but this project will not solve all the issue to make the production more flexible. So there's a series of development to have technical and economic feasibility has to be proven at a large scale. Also demonstrate automatic generation control, and all the work in a system approach with ancillary services, notably with a new European regulation for the electricity market. So that we will need to have some development of new turbines, expanders, etc., etc. The topic number 3 is, as I was saying, about storage, and I was explaining why we propose, and it's a proposal because I remind that it's a draft proposal. This document we show you, and the final one will be for June. So feel free to comment. So we would like indeed to have high temperature thermal energy storage highlighted. You can see the objective: develop technologies and workflow to reduce the cost and improve heat storage, and combine also this heat storage with the surface structure, so with the heat exchanger, with the waste heat source, with the distribution network, etc., etc. And how we can combine that with indeed the new development in high temperature storage, so with the reservoir modeling, the drilling, the well integrity preservation, etc., etc. You could see the targets. The targets here are not new targets, are the targets that have already been identified for the research agenda. As I said, this topic 3 here on research and storage is not a merge with other topics, it's the same topic that we had in the research agenda. Topic 4 is a merge, so we have merged the idea of having hybrid plants, and probably here also we will try to find the right name for that. So hybrid in terms of source to produce power and heat, so we can couple geothermal with other sources. It's already existing, but we can say it's only 2 to 3 pilot projects, not in Europe, but at a global level. So it's really at the start of development. Also with some combination with storage, as I'm mentioning. So the heat hybrid systems, it's mainly with other RES, having in mind especially green gas, concentrated solar power, where we could have an increase of a temperature, or we can have stable production for the grid, so even increase the load factor. Here we need to have a large-scale demonstration because, as I say, for a moment, pilot projects are not really developed. We speak about 2 to 3 at a global level, and in Europe we need to have a better design. Another important topic, and here it's important not only in terms of research, but today it's important in terms of economics, is how we could also extract and separate some minerals. One highlighted for a moment in many press releases and in many research already launched is about lithium, where we can extract lithium from the brines, and here we have to develop a lot of new technologies for the separation. For sure, this is not the separation will not come only. The technology will not come only from the geothermal sector. It will be in coordination with other sectors, especially with in mineral industry, and for the lithium with the lithium industry, where they have already some techniques, and we will see how we can combine our research efforts, to find solutions for minerals. And last but not least, as I was starting my presentation with, when we speak about surface system and system system approach, we need really to have in mind all the energy system and how we can test the dispatchability, how we can develop ancillary services, and how we can have a different production of voltage or medium voltage instead of high voltage or low voltage. For the targets, we will have some targets at topic level, but we have also some overall targets. And here I remind the set plan targets. I don't know if you remember that. So it's targets defined by the member states of the European Union and by the European Commission about deep geothermal. And here there are 3 of them are causing surface system is improving the efficiency. It's making the plant more dispatchable, more flexible, ramping up and down, and also reduce the overall cost. If you're familiar with ETIP DG, we say that we will take into consideration with these set plan targets, we will look at them, we will report to them, but we agree also that the ETIP DG will have its own targets because these ones are more general targets and we need us to come with more precise and detailed targets. It was already presented by Ben and Adele for 2 topics. Here, for surface system, we say, notably for developing new working fluids, specific components, we'll go much more in detail than just the overall conversion efficiency. That's all for my presentation. I don't know if you have any question on surface system. I do not see any at that stage. So what I will do is that I look at the agenda, and the next presenter, it's me again, from research to deployment, but I see also that the working group leader, Bruno Leray, is present in this webinar. So Bruno, I unmute you and feel free to intervene during my presentation if you want to add some comments. What I did, so I look at also for market uptake, how the steering committee has proposed to prioritize. And you could see the 9 topics we had on from research, development, innovation to deployment on market uptake, I would say. Here you could see that indeed we clear 2 priorities: is setting the right policies and engaging public engagement. These are our clear priorities. Also establish a regulatory framework, but here my suggestion is that improving the policy and regulatory framework could be combined. It's one suggestion, because indeed it's not exactly the same thing, having a strategic policy and having a clear regulation on licensing, but anyway it's something we could envisage to combine. Also a proposal is public acceptance could also integrate some parts of mitigation of environmental concerns. So here we just look at public engagement, but also public acceptance. It could be also an idea to merge. One clear also objective, and you could see from the graph, it's topic 4, 5, which are quite similar, and probably 3. So we could also look at that. So 4 and 5 is about support schemes and financial support schemes. One is more dealing, topic 4, on financial risk management. Topic 5 is more on the general support scheme, so feed-in tariff, feed-in premium, or grants. Topic 3 is with one main message, is going beyond the levelized cost of electricity approach, so beyond the LCOE, highlighting the interest of geothermal to be base load, to be flexible, and to have low operational cost. So maybe one proposal is how we could use this beyond LCOE approach to also better define all the support schemes. Last but not least, also here, maybe from these non-technical topics, 2 of them could be more proposed for mission approach. Is one which is interesting for many people, but maybe as a lowest priority, is how we can embed geothermal energy into the circular economy. And that, of course, has to be linked with topic on resource access, resource development, and surface system, because indeed it's all the chain and the lifetime of a plant, how we can better be integrating the circular economy, better reuse materials, how we deal with the waste and with the end of a power plant, the decommissioning. And last but not least, on human deployment, so it's a specific topic. We speak about education, about training, about improving reconversion also of professionals, and that maybe is also a topic we can more propose that in a more general system approach with the topic of a mission. I don't know, Bruno, if you want to highlight something on that?
No, thank you. It's quite clear. So
okay.
It may appear a little bit confusing that the human development has now been seen as a better priority because so it's quite questionable how we will do anything without human resources. So maybe there is some misunderstanding on this topic, and we should a little bit investigate.
So indeed, one proposal, indeed, Bruno, just to reply to that, is that we do not delete any priority in the roadmap, but we mention them with different level of priorities and different levels. One ABC is technology-specific geothermal, and maybe this topic of human deployment is more systemic, no?
Yeah. So I was a little bit confused with the result of the assessment of priorities. This is my point, and I think it would be interesting to understand why we have that result on the human deployment.
Okay, so maybe I go no more to some details, and maybe we can also open the discussion. So if I look at topic A, improving policy and regulatory, so indeed it's mainly dealing with setting a level playing field between geothermal and other technologies at European and national level, is to have dedicated policies and long-term vision for deep geothermal energy, and to have appropriate regulatory framework and legislation at European and national level. So indeed, here we look at best practices for research, development, innovation, but also for licensing, codes, permitting. And we know already that there's a lot of to do in exchange of best practices, including recognition of minimum standards. Topic 2 is about public engagement and acceptance. It's an important topic. There's some projects also already ongoing, notably on life cycle assessment, but the project ongoing called GeoEnvy will not be the end of the story. We'll have probably some follow-up actions needed in terms of promoting and developing the LCA approach. So all that is to have notably a better understanding about the social concerns, to have mutual learning, and to include perspective from stakeholders in innovative process. One could be linked also with funding of projects, with crowdfunding, for example, how we can better understand crowdfunding. And this is part of public engagement. If we look at how we can merge with other topics, we can merge probably public engagement and public acceptance, which is more dealing with environmental concerns, and here how to work to highlight better the benefits. And action 3 is more dealing with financing, innovative financing, and reinforced competitiveness. So we speak about financing both for the resource risk, so the risk insurance, and for supporting operational support. There's also some work on risk, mitigate resource risk. There's the ongoing project geo-risk, but also geo-risk will not be the end of the story. We'll need also to have other tools, financial tools, if we want to develop new technologies to improve also innovation, investment in innovation in our sector, etc., etc. So we look at how we have this level playing field, but also some technology-specific support schemes. The system approach, so maybe we can also rediscuss what Bruno was highlighting. So human deployment, so the proposal in the research agenda is mainly on 3 topics. Is enhancement of education and training, notably with some networks, development and employment action plan to be sure that we are not understaffed in the sector in some technologies. And finally, to launch some international cooperation. We could mention EGS or supercritical fluids, or I don't know, any or storage, any topics, but more a cooperation in terms of human deployment. To conclude on circular economy, you could see the proposal is to indeed use the standard procedure and the corrective branding for geothermal and improve the flexibility and use of circular economy, so recycling, secondary material, waste for all the different components and products of geothermal systems. So I also agree with you, Bruno. We should not, in the roadmap, not refer to this topic. This topic has to be also highlighted, but maybe in a different perspective, not in a technology specific, maybe more in a system approach. I don't know if you want to add something, Bruno?
No, thank you. It's fine.
Do we have any question about what I just presented? No? Okay, so maybe we continue this webinar with the last presentation, nearly the last one, because after it's more comment from Ben. So indeed, on knowledge sharing. So Adele, I give you the floor again to present this topic on knowledge sharing.
Thank you, Philippe. It's quick, as you see. In the strategic research agenda, we had 3 topics related to sharing, knowledge sharing, and we combined them in 2 topics. The first one combines topic 1 and 2, so harmonized database, and topic that was topic 1, and shared platform topic 2. These are the result of the ranking performed by the steering committee. You see that the first 2 have essentially the same level of priority, and the third is considered in a way a little less urgent or in priority. No. Next one. So same structure as before. Objectives of a shared and harmonized geothermal information is to define an harmonized format for data, including both underground data and information, other kind of information related to the geothermal sector. Harmonization, so which means setting up the tools, the rules for data format can be done in a short time if there is a way, an occasion to do that. So by 2023, we should be able to have an harmonization protocol, and the main effort would be to do the digitalization of data and information. So the target time would be 2025 to start this huge job, but then it would require a continuous update. And another objective is to have something centralized as a platform, which means essentially a front end. All the data and information, most of the data and information can and should remain at national level. As long as they are harmonized, that is the best way to proceed. But we need also some centralized tool, front end, to harvest all this information and organize all this data. So we can consider 2023 a good timing for the concept of this platform. And then by 2025, as soon as the digitalization of data has been at least partially done, we can foresee a proof of concept. So the targets are essentially improve the access to relevant data, so that the KPI is the number of member state harmonized database, and and in relation to the centralized platform, information platform, one target is to have it implemented at European level, and the KPI will be the platform itself up and running. So the priority here is set as high, and timeline is continuous, but with some main milestones, 2023, 2025. And then on topic 2, next slide, is shared research infrastructure. This is a main topic at European level. So we will look for occasion for funding for shared research, research infrastructures, and building shared geothermal research infrastructures, so specifically or organized for geothermal research and innovation. So improve access to laboratories, wells also. These, so the in situ infrastructures would be so important for so many research topics. So organizing wells and plans for testing and developing innovative concepts will be the dream for most of us. So priority, it wasn't defined high at for the steering committee and the ranking of the steering committee, but I still think that it can be set as a high medium, and timeline continues, because this should be done continuously. This requires a lot of partnership between research and academic and industry, especially if we think about wells and plans for testing and developing innovative concepts. But there is room for this kind of ideas with European funding and tools, and we will describe, we will refer to them. And this is all.
Much, Adele. I think indeed it was clear. So anyway, as I say, feel free to intervene if you have any question for that or for the previous chapters. And now we are coming nearly to the end after 1 hour and a half of webinar, which is quite already a lot. Ben, maybe you can give some words about next generation of technologies, how it will be treated in the draft roadmap.
I see a hand, Philippe, from Lucia.
I think it was still the previous one from before. Or Lucia, you want to add something, or it was the hand you raised already for the first topic?
Yes, I'm here. I asked him before, but it's okay. You continue, and I write an email for my integrations. Go on.
Okay, then I will continue with a few words on the next generation technologies. So in the strategic research agenda, we said, okay, we also want to give the floor to open room for totally new ideas to be developed. We mentioned more as an example 7 ideas that are out there and that could be developed and that could result in a totally new approach with respect to deep geothermal. It is within the roadmap. We will mainly focus on the mechanisms, funding mechanisms that could be available in the Horizon Europe, under Horizon Europe, for the development of these future and emerging technologies. So it will be related to the continuation, or at least the follow-up of the FED plan under the FED program under the current Horizon 2020 program, which gives the floor for or which gives funding for potentially groundbreaking new technology developments. Things we were or potential developments we were thinking about are, for example, related to this combination mineral extraction versus geothermal, but also development of offshore geothermal, totally new types of heat extraction systems, maybe even not related to the way we are drilling today and things like that. As I said, we will not define specific actions within the roadmap, but give you an idea of how you could continue in case you have a potential totally new technology to be developed. Here also we will stress the relation with other technology platforms, for example, the ICT, but also the mining, the oil and gas, and so on. So that's for me at least the way we will deal with these next generation technologies.
Thank you, Ben. Indeed, it was clear, and it's a good proposal you are making. I see that Stefan Schreiber wants to intervene. Stefan, I give you the floor.
Yes, this is Stefan from Germany, representing Geothermica. Regarding the funding of new technologies, I just wanted to point out the new Geothermica call coming out early June, which is already available on the website geothermica.eu, where also possibilities for new technologies and innovation and really the new stuff is given. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for the comment. We definitely will take that along. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Stefan, because you are doing the perfect transition to the last presentation, which is the next steps, where indeed I was also planning to mention this call. So you are doing the perfect transition, because as also it was presenting by Fausto, so we have done a nice vision, a wonderful research agenda. We'll do a fantastic roadmap, but after we will have to implement this roadmap. So just to conclude on the roadmap, so we are in the phase 3 where we have to validate the roadmap. We have a webinar today. You have 1 week still to send written comments. You have a form available online. You can use this form. I say also you can send input via email to the ETIP DG Secretariat, info@dgetip.eu. Sorry, up. And you have until next Friday to send that. We will, after rush to finish this document, to send to proofreading, to editing, in order to be published in June, and it will be officially present during the ETIP DG annual conference in Den Haag after EGC, so from 4:30 on the 13th of June. So you're all invited to join us for this annual conference, where we'll for the first time present the roadmap. And as I say, after this fantastic roadmap, we'll have to work to implement that. So from July, we have to work on implementation. It means to develop some research, development, and innovation project to execute the planning and of the roadmap. So for that, we'll have to use different tools. There's the implementation working group on deep geothermal energy from the SEL plan, which has also its own implementation plan, and we'll have also to see some synergies between the roadmap and the implementation plan of the set plan implementation working group. As Stefan was just mentioning, there's this Geothermica second call, so open from 1st of June, but already many information are available. I also take the opportunity to say that Geothermica will have a booth at EGC 2019 in Den Haag, so you will have the opportunities to have some networking with the people from Geothermica if you need to have more information on the calls. We have a last call from Corrosion 2020. So the work program 2020 is about to be published. I heard it will be first week of June, probably the 7th of June. So still 2 weeks from now, and we have the last work program, the work program 2020, with some calls for deep geothermal energy. And later we'll have to look at European level the opportunity of Corrosion Europe. So the new work program 2021-2027. Just to be clear, our roadmap will directly fill the draft program for Corrosion Europe for the work program 2021-2023. So it's why it's important we well define the priority for deep geothermal energy research, because this will probably pave the way for the first calls from Corrosion Europe in 2021-2022. And I conclude to mention other instruments. Indeed, at European level, there's about 3 new instruments to be developed that are potential funding opportunities for deep geothermal energy. The Innovation Fund, which will replace the ENIA 300 fund, so for new demonstration projects. The Modernization Fund, which has special focus on Central and Eastern Europe. The Energy Transition Fund, which has a special focus for the coal region in transitions. So here it's more some regional focus, but here we see probably many opportunities for deep geothermal heating, cooling, or electricity. And Innofin is a specific instrument also for more risky projects. That's all for the next step. So now I think we are done with the presentation, and we can open the floor for the latest comments if you have any. Lucia, you wanted to say something before, so I give you again the floor.
I will prefer to send my comments via email. It's okay?
Yes, it's okay. For sure, it's okay.
Okay. Bye.
Goodbye. So I will probably, if Fausto, Ben, or Adele, you want to add something also from your side, or if not, we can close this webinar and thank everybody. Fausto, I would like
to thank you and to thank the Secretariat that did a great job in preparing the research agenda and also this presentation. And I hope in the future there will be more people supporting and collaborating in the ETIP Deep Geothermal. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Fausto, everybody, and I wish you a good end of afternoon and a good weekend. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Goodbye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.